accurate. So those guys just graduated, so they're going to be kind of disseminated on the floor over the 3 different shifts that we have. We hopefully hire another. So, the other thing is we do have a lot of fire engines on order. We should start seeing those roll in sometime the first quarter, I think, of 2026 all the way through 2028. And those are going to replace a lot of the units that we have. Station 7, so we're kind of a unique station. We're the rehab station in the city. Excuse me. So we house the medics. So any structure fire response, we automatically get toned out and go whether or not fire. We head that way. That way, if there's citizens or firemen that need our assistance, paramedics. It's kind of unique. We do have a new dispatching system that in the next few months are trying to work on that transition, and so that changes things for us to have. Transition to, so it kind of allows the dispatchers to narrow down that we can make sure that they're going to help us on our end of things. Be a little more seamless for them. Then we don't have that aren't being, we don't need them. We do have another promotional testing coming up, so that's every 2 years. So we'll have testing for lieutenants, for captains. Once you have promoted to lieutenant, the next rank above that. Different cities have different. Ours is airman, lieutenant, captain, chief, battalion. Some cities you have to test as a driver. But that test is coming up in the next few months. And I'm part of the rescue team. So our station 10 is primarily a hazmat. Every year for, in order to be a driver, Navy SEAL, IR, IAR, and so if you're a driver city, we have to take that swim test. So that's, I just keep looking. What's going on inside the department? Do you guys have any questions?
That's great.
Okay.
First of all, the recruits in fire unions,
Yes, sir.
you know how many of those might be assigned within District 6 yet?
I hope we get the very first one. Yes. So I'll be honest with you, right now on the department, there's 3 styles of engines. We have a Pierce Dash, oldest, have a Puck, which is what Station 7 currently has, and we have Velocities, which is the newer Pierce engines. They kind of transitioned. I think we started getting the first Pucks maybe years ago. And there's a lot, they kind of transitioned from more like manual valves and stuff to electronic. I don't know how electronics work. They're still. So a lot of issues with the Pucks. With our engine, favorite engine in the city, I'll be honest with you, so I hope that we get one of the Velocities. But to also kind of cover what I'm saying is, regardless what engine you have, every day that we, each of the 3 shifts, day shift. So in the morning, duty to check everything out. You'll hear the station, you might hear some chainsaws running, you might hear the Q siren, but we do a head to toe check on that engine every morning just to make sure it's functioning as it should. hope that we get one of the new ones.
Second question.
We do it at the, at the Wichita Swim Club, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's freezing. Yeah, it's terrible.
So third question. So, do you know if there's any station at the 13th and West location?
That I do.
The 13th and West, I would love that.
Like 37th and Ridge area, 29th and Ridge, 29th.
Like, this is curious because the stats have.
That was a busy Engine House 23 right there in the parking lot of Dillon's. So it definitely proved that there is a need over there. But the other thing is that you have Station 7, Station 1, and Station 8, our response to that area, y'all get there very quickly, kind of pretty much about the same time. So it's a fight when we get there. So it does have good coverage, but it did prove that there is a need over there.
The temporary station that was in the parking lot of Dillon's ended up being the sixth busiest station. Sixth busiest station in the city, which is.
Hopefully.
Probably not. We don't get to do any of the fun stuff like they do, so. Hello, everyone. I'm Officer Grindley with Wichita Police Department. I'm out of Patrol North. This is Officer Perkins. He's out of Patrol West. We both are both part of DEB 6. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is some of our crime stats for the last 30 days. Unfortunately, our auto thefts are up about 25% from one over the prior 30 days. A lot of that has to do with what the weather is like. In the colder seasons, we want to make sure that we don't go out and start our car and then run back inside. And then I was only in there for 5 minutes. And in reality, that 5 minutes is very easy for someone to get 4 minutes and 50 seconds down the road with your vehicle. So if you have electric start, that is a better option. Colder weather, we have to do stuff like that. So robberies, unfortunately, are also up 60% over the 30-day from the last.
Did you say 60?
60, yes. You are up to 8 in DEB 6. So,
But I was gonna say 60%, we're talking low numbers to no numbers. I mean, if we had 3 and then we had 6,
Right,
you know.
Yeah.
that's 100% increase.
Yeah,
we
we have-
went from 5 to 8. So some of those numbers, like a shoplift when you're using force is a robbery. So some of that, I didn't break it all down for each individual case on that. Let's see, larcenies are up 24%. That is up to 116 instead of 94. Larcenies to auto, which are taking things from your vehicle, that's down 5%. So aggravated assaults are down 26%, which is awesome. Our arrests are up 30% over the last month. So we are arresting the people that are committing these crimes. Some of the things going on in the neighborhood, we do have a lot of abandoned vehicles. If you guys see something, give one of the stations a call so we can come out and get that sticker, get that taken care of. Schools in sessions again, so let's make sure that we keep eyes out for buses and the stop signs on buses. Let's see, I already talked about the auto thefts, and They're not here for us to talk about it, but our polar plunge it's actually for Special Olympics, is coming up March 7. That's where last year, this is why I want to talk about it. The fire department is doing her retesting inside. I did the polar plunge. We shaved 7 inches of ice off the lake. So. So, recruits, the police department recruits graduate this Thursday, and we have new ones that start next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday, depends on when they were hired. We hired some early to make sure that they stuck with our department instead of running off to others, so.
All right, I'll talk a little bit about Patrol West. We have 3 beats out of Patrol West that are in DAB 6, that's 11, 12, and 15. If you guys follow the actual beats themselves on the stats, I asked those, I'm actually on beat 13 and 14, but I asked those CP officers any major things that needs to be put out at here, and they both said that there's not any major. On the 24th, just bring this up. If you've been around in Wichita, you know that we have a lot of runs, a lot of marathons and stuff like this one. This one isn't going to affect a lot, but I did want to put it out there. The Wichita 1 mile is going to be in Sim Park on the 24th. It starts at 8 o'clock and will only be about an hour to an hour and maybe 30 minutes. And they're only going to have the roads in that area shut down. So it shouldn't cause too many problems for you guys in the area. Our risk terrain modeling at 13th and West Street, what we call an RTM. We've had no violent crimes in the last week in our RTM area. That's a Patrol West only RTM area. This is something it is a few months out, but we like to kind of always put it up to the DAB. We'll get it out on social media and everything else to get this information out. But our next second chance Thursday is actually going to be March 26th, and it's going to be at the new. In there, it's a very beautiful facility. I did place some hot team flyers out on the desk. There was only about 8 of them that I had, and the main reason for that is there's a lot of information on places where if you like to donate. We all know the best place not to donate is to the person that's standing right there wanting your money. But there's a lot of good resources in there if you like to donate, get some information. And there's some information, of course, in reference to what the hot team does. And that's all I had for now. Do they have any questions?
Questions from the dad?
Question, and correct me if I'm wrong, do I remember the chief saying that after this spring's recruiting class, that WPD would be fully staffed again, assuming everyone sticks around?
I do not remember that conversation. I can say from what I've seen, I don't think we're ever going to be full enough. Like,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
always want more. So I honestly don't remember what he said if we would be filling. I know that we started the class with, I want to say it was close to 40, and having that many graduate. So not 40, it's in the mid 30s, I think.
Yeah, very much in person heavy like me, 25, 30 and more. At one time, there was 50 to 175 people that could have just went in on the same day, got out of here and started. We're still sticking around, but there is that potential that you have package that I've already put in just in January that are leaving. I think a couple more. Week with emails, they come in and it's like, you get a couple a day. This person's retiring, this person. Attrition is always in the fire department does the same thing. I mean, we're getting closer, and we are a lot better than what we were probably 2 to.
Question
All right,
So much.
thank you,
for your time.
Thank you.
thank you. Mhm.
Public library report? Kelly, and I'm the branch manager of the Evergreen Library and then the Maya Angelou Library down the street. As always, lots of fun things happening at the library this month. So one big thing that everybody's really excited about this year is that this year is the 150th anniversary of Wichita Public Library. February 3rd is the exact day. So we're planning on doing all kinds of special events and fun things this year in honor of the 150th. I'm not on the committee that decides, but rumors trickle down, and I've heard word of big events with local food trucks, an ice cream social. There's a possibility that we might get a new logo for WPL, so lots of cool stuff. Our first event is actually on February 3rd. It's going to be at the Advanced Learning Library downtown, where community members are invited to come and share their favorite library memories or hopes for the future. We're going to have this big wall that folks can contribute to, and you're also invited to contribute pictures or notes to that wall. So if you have any like old photos of the library, we have tons. We're genealogy folks, of course, but if you have any, we also are doing our Read ICT challenge this year. So I talked about this last time. We announced our 2026 categories. If you're interested in participating, we have bookmarks out on the table that have the 12 different categories. The idea for Read ICT is if you participate, you're encouraged to read one book per month, so 12 books total. And the idea is to encourage you to read things that you wouldn't normally read. It is the 10-year anniversary of Read ICT this year, and so one of our prompts is read a book with the number 10 or 10 written out or X in the title. That's kind of a hard one. I had some folks ask questions about that. At Angelo the other day, we had someone come in and we were trying to find something that he would like, and we ended up, he checked out the autobiography of Malcolm X on audiobook. That had a so if you're having difficulty with any of our categories, you can always ask your local librarian, right? And we also have on our website, we have a Read ICT page. It's linked in a big banner on our homepage right now. If you click on that, we have lists of books that match each category that are in our section. So that can make it a little bit easier for you on some of those tougher challenges. If you are interested in for Read ICT, we are doing a Read ICT book swap here at the Evergreen Library. It's going to be on Saturday, January 24th at 2 o'clock. So we're going to have tons of books available, and then we encourage community members to come and swap out your books with fellow readers, and we'll give you ideas for books that you can read for Read ICT. On that same day, Saturday, January 24th, we are also having an Evergreen Resource Fair. So all of the different partner organizations that operate out of this building are going to be out and tabled so that folks can come and talk to us about the different resources that we offer. There's going to be some swag, there's going to be some snacks. It's going to be a fun time. In the afternoon, it's going to go from 11 to 1. Have resumed. So we have weekly story times at most of our locations. Here at the Evergreen Library, we have a bilingual story time every Thursday morning at 10:30. So definitely invited to that. If Thursday mornings don't work for you, we have story times every day of the week at different locations. So that we have going on this month. They started a new program at the Advanced Learning Library called Teen Tuesdays. So every Tuesday evening from 6 to 7:30, there's going to be some kind of craft or activity going on for teens. One really fun thing they're doing this month, at the end of the month, on Friday, January 31st, they're having an after-hours program that is going to be a cozy mystery, like cozy murder mystery program. So teens can come, there's going to be a murder, and then they can solve the murder. So if you have any teens that you know who would be interested in that, I think it's going to be a really fun event. The library is also partnering with NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness, which is a nonprofit organization that provides mental health support and advocacy. And And we are partnering with them for several different program series this month and this spring. So the Alfred branch is hosting a series for adults Thursday evenings throughout January from 5:30 to 7:30. That's going to be focused on mental health. The Evergreen Library, mental health bilingual story hour with NAMI, that's going to be in March. And then the Angela Library is hosting a teen series with NAMI that's going to be all about creativity, and that's going to be Wednesday afternoons in April. So those are just some examples of what almost every branch has partnered with them for some kind of program series this spring. And then one more Evergreen program that I want to promote since it's this Friday. So we are having a program on Friday at 3 called All About eBooks. So if you have received any sort of new device, maybe at the holidays, or you have a device that you're not using, whether it's an e-reader or any kind of tablet, or even if it's a relatively big smartphone, you can access free ebooks through the library on any of those devices. And so the program on Friday is open to anyone who has any kind of device, and we'll talk about how to access those ebooks through the Libby app and also through the cloud library if you have a state of. Sign up for one of those if you don't have it. Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's 3 o'clock. I think that's the 16th. 2 big exciting author events that we're promoting, although this first one, I'm devastated. I really wanted to go, but the tickets are sold out. But I'll still let you know because it's still exciting. Michael Threets is going to be coming to the Advanced Learning Library on February 10th. If you don't know who Michael Threets is, that's fine. He's like a rock star in the library community. He did a series of TikToks and social media videos all about life in the library. He was a children's librarian for a long time, and he's really, really great. And he was recently selected to be the new host of Reading Rainbow. So he is going to be promoting his new book, I'm So Happy You're Here, A Celebration of Library Joy. Would have loved to have gone, but it is what it is. And then the other big event, is going to be happening at the library. This one you can still get tickets for. Kate Quinn is going to be, the author Kate Quinn is going to be coming to the library to talk about her new book, The Astral Librarian. And again, this is in partnership with Watermark Books. Attendance is free, but the Library Foundation is also selling tickets for $100 to attend a VIP meet and greet event with the author and receive a signed hardcover of the book. So if you're a big Kate Quinn fan, you really love the Alice Network, and you really want to get a copy of her new book and meet her, there's an opportunity for you to do that. So 2 fun events. Those 2 events, because they're through Watermark Books, for those. Well, at least one of them. The other one, all the tickets are already gone.
Valerie, we are at the public portion of this agenda. This is a portion of the agenda that provides an opportunity for citizens to present issues that are not part of the regular agenda in this meeting. There's a 5-minute limit for each speaker. On scheduled items, we do have Gary Bayou. He is suggesting suggestions regarding a dog park at Orchard Park and potential traffic signal lights and improvements. Barry, are you present this evening? I think he is. We can move on to public agenda number 6, off agenda items. Do we have anybody who's here to present a public agenda item? Go ahead, come up to the podium. Record, and you have 5 minutes.
And I live in 351 Street, District 6. And I'm here. ICT Trees. We've been in existence now for 3 years, and we've had 3 our free trees into those areas that are low income. So these are folks that are probably not going to go to the garden store or the nursery to buy a tree for themselves and their homeowners because we need to give. So this year, this spring, we are going to be giving away 100 trees to folks in an area that runs from Oliver on the east to basically Waco. So we're going to catch part of Midtown, and it's going to run from Central and the South up to 21st Street North. We may take it a little bit. That's the target area. We've set a real different ourselves because, as you probably know, in low-income areas, there's a lot of rental housing. So we have to identify the homeowners and publicize this event to them. So any of you all on the day will be going out to the neighborhood associations, to the churches. We've had very good luck in those areas. We partner with the organization for using their software, target those target homeowners in those areas, target those areas. People register online for a tree prior to the event. What else do I need to say? So Saturday, April 11th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Street section, and they've been very helpful in working. We work with them. So if you were to volunteer to come out and hand out trees, you can do that too. That's a great deal of fun. The councilwoman has been there. She knows how much fun it is.
Great event.
And I will say we trees. And each year we planted more. We started out with 40, we went to 50. This time this past time we had 67. 17 from Arbor Day because we kind of made a mess and messed this up a little bit. I think we felt guilty. So we have 17 free trees. These are specific for this area, by the way. I should say that. They're on the City of Waco's website as water smart trees. They're recommended by the Kansas Forest Service and by the Central County Extension Service. The trees are specific to this area. By the way, I also want to say this year, for the first time, we are sourcing these trees locally, Hillside Nursery. So any money that we raise, we get grants, we get donations, that money stays in this community. Different varieties, they are shade trees. We're not giving away ornamentals this time. For urban around the urban areas that are very built up, so the neighborhoods located next to a lot of concrete and built structures, and so they tend to be hotter, as much as 12 degrees hotter in the summertime than, say, a neighborhood that has a lot of trees. Sure.
Do you guys provide some kind of training or tip sheets so that the people who receive these trees will know what they need to do?
Yes, we do.
Kind of like taking a puppy home?
Yes, we actually stay in contact with these people, make sure, and we've had them in touch with us. But we do provide them with information, and I will say one of the things that's going to happen this time at the Porter Park, I don't know what time, but the forestry section of the park board's gonna do a demonstration tree planting. So we'll advertise that separately so that folks that may not be getting a tree, but want to buy their own and plant it, can come there and learn how, because it does make it cheaper to buy a tree if you plant it yourself.
Harold, your 5 minutes is up. If you want to go ahead and leave us your information, and some of our board members who have additional questions can contact you.
I left one of these for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To speak on a public agenda item. Go ahead. If you want to state your first and last name and your address for the record, please.
Ron Lascelles, 2349 North Market. Councilman member Ballard, congratulations.
Thank you.
4 more years.
Thank you.
I've really appreciated seeing from the WPD staff report about the neighborhood complaints, abandoned vehicles. I emailed and copied you on it, and Officer Gridley, of course, he just took off. But one of the things is I wanted to mention is this is becoming more of a problem. And I'm going to go ahead and just reach out to him again and just let him know that this needs some diligence. It's becoming a problem probably within, like I said, about last year, this last year. And Market Street is a very busy street. And there are parking signs along the street on both the east and the west parts of that street for a reason. There are some parts of the street that have limited parking. And so those are not being adhered to as well. So anyway, I just want to mention that. And also, speaking of parking, we do love our Guadalupe celebration in December. However, over the last few years, I think since the virus, there's been a disconnect with the community. So if you have any contact information, I would appreciate it. Just forward it to me. We do have some, my family and I, some of the residents, but this year there was probably about, I know 4 people because they could not either get in or get out of our neighborhood. Pretty upset, but fortunately, we did call, and they took care of it. But yeah, again, if you have any contact, because it's just a matter of communication. They've done a wonderful job in this, from just a mass to a major parade celebration, which is great. But also we were given flyers, we were given contact information, people were on their committee and that kind of stuff. But I think something happened during the virus, plus there was a change in priesthood. So anyway, just want to bring that to you guys' attention, and hopefully somebody will contact. If not, I mean, I'm more than, me. I'll go ahead and I'll call them, but I just wanted to kind of.
No, I appreciate that. I would just say thank you for letting us know about the cars, the abandoned cars.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't know, certainly, and you drive past it, a couple times a day or multiple times. Sometimes we just don't know until people tell us. So
Right.
we us that or any of the officers so that we can get it addressed instead of some people just being frustrated,
Yeah.
thinking that somebody's just not paying attention to it or
Right.
taking care of it. So I would just say keep that up and continue to talk to me. If you have any problems, let me know. But
Yeah.
just continue to let us know and I'll work on the contacts for.
Really professional.
Get
Once
everybody
it sponsors it, and again, it's a great thing, but we just need to make sure the residents in that area are very well informed.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Cars, is that when somebody doesn't own the car? And it's been there and it's, not being driven, is that abandoned even if it probably belongs?
On the definition, but I know it has to be tagged, it has to be certain boxes, but if it's up on Jack's or something like that, that's definitely something that the police can help us with. I don't know. But if you have one in question, please let me know and I'm happy to.
Josh.
This is exactly that if a car is left in one location for 72 hours, a sticker is placed on it, and then after so long, it gets towed by private.
Regardless of.
In the,
ownership, yeah.
in the street,
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and some streets have stricter limitations than others, but 72
but
hours.
people still have to report it
Yes.
to 911.
Form, there's an online form.
Somebody's yard.
No,
You would. But it's specifically for street parking, because if there's a different agencies manage private property and cars that are abandoned versus cars that are in the street.
Anybody else who wants to speak on public agenda? All right, come on, come up to the podium, ma'am. State your name and address for the record, please.
I will. I live at 932 North Porter Avenue in Riverside. Good evening, Councilwoman Ballard. Congratulations on re-election. And hello, District 6 neighbors and friends, and our new city manager. And I'm a Wichita resident that's concerned about the lack of affordable housing and the crisis of homelessness in our city. I'm here tonight to speak to you strong, ongoing funding for the Wichita Affordable Housing Fund. And as the city considers how to prioritize funding for the proposed sales tax, this is important, an important moment to be clear about how affordable housing will be addressed. It's all over the city. I'm lifting them up as resident and a voter. The question I've been asking myself, the first one is, will the proposal meet Wichita's growing affordable housing need? And as I consider my vote on any sales tax proposal, whether it's March 3rd or August, I'm going to ask myself, or at all, whether the city's proposal will meet Wichita's growing affordable housing need. I know rents are rising. Homeless families are struggling to stay housed. Well, designates 150 million of the sales tax revenue would go to affordable housing and homelessness. No details have been discussed beyond the funding for the Second Light shelter. The second question I'm asking myself is, will there be a clear plan to secure 10 million annually for the Wichita Affordable Housing Fund? My second consideration is whether there will be a clear, specific plan to secure 10 million in the annual funding for the Wichita Affordable Housing Fund. This fund is specifically for the creation of affordable housing units for thousands of voucher holders that are currently on a waiting list. The Wichita City Council created this program, but has allowed it to run out of funding with no plan to sustain it for the future. Question 3 that I'm asking myself, will the proposal avoid unnecessarily worsening inequities for those who struggle? And my third question is whether the council will avoid making things harder for people who already struggle, especially renters, low-income families, seniors, families living paycheck to paycheck. We know the sales tax proposal will charge everyone an extra penny on every dollar spent. But the property tax relief provision that tax relief to those who need it and on low incomes could be worsening inequity. Family Promise, a nonprofit that works with unhoused families with children. I've met families forced to move or lose their home because their rent went up and there was no affordable option.
Nancy, your time is up. If you want to wrap up your thought, your 5 minutes is up. First, I will go ahead and scan her comments and then I will email you a copy of this, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Do we have any other residents here to speak on public agenda items? All right, then, if you want to come up to the podium. State your first and last name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my friends. Oh, I see familiar faces. I'm delighted to be here. I am Jan Swartzentruber. I'm here to urge that the city needs to invest in creating housing in Wichita by budgeting at least $10 million a year to encourage both the profit and nonprofit sectors in cooperation with the city to build and rehab properties to reduce our shortage of affordable properties here. We can only slow the growing problem with homelessness unanimously voted in December to put on the March 3 ballot a Wichita Forward proposal for a 1% sales tax. As of today, there seems to be some question about whether that vote will actually be in March. Maybe it will be in August, but who says it would be great if it were in August because there's so much we need to know about what is in the proposal. We need time to absorb what the ordinance states and doesn't state. And discussion is required. Fact is, the ordinance states very little. It's about 3 pages plus a signature page. So that's why I'm here tonight. And that's why the city's scheduled workshop on January 27, which is going to be a discussion that will include some specifics about how to spend the revenue should we pass the sales tax. So whether we're going to vote on March 3 or later, let's start now to pick apart the language of the ordinance and know what it says and doesn't say. Here is specific wording of section D describing revenues for homeless and housing services. This is short. An amount not to exceed $150 million of such tax will be applied to a special fund with earnings from such fund to be reinvested into this special fund to support homeless and housing services. Shelter facilities, a multi-agency center, and its operation and related services for people experiencing homelessness. This simply does not do justice to the many moving parts that go into a citywide effort to increase affordable housing. And we are estimated to be short something like, is it 20,000 units? I believe 10 million annual investment to be spent to encourage the building of housing or rehabbing of housing, because there's such a long backlog of people who have qualified for federal vouchers for the Section 8. 2401 North Woodlands. Faith Coalition Justice Together. And these issues third year in a row. And I happen to be one of the volunteers that's researching affordable housing. So I'm starting my second year researching this issue. Because of that, I know that when the city had money from the one-time ARPA funds, the funds that city's Department of Housing and Community Services to making a documentary film. It was called Hope in the Heartland. And in just all of six people who are now there, and not including our new councilman, Joseph Shepherd, all made a statement that they expected not just to run a shelter to keep people from freezing in the winter, but to run a multi-agency center to provide services to get people out of homelessness, which obviously requires places to get them into. That's the affordable housing part. So I've heard council members, in addition to that film, I've heard them speaking to Justice Together, talk about the challenges and opportunities for getting city and private entities to cooperate and generate incentives to build and rehab all these units that we're short of. The important point is we will only find these solutions if we want to and if we budget for it. And if we've proven successful in other cities, solutions will not happen as an afterthought. The city has an obligation to prove to its citizens that it has all of our interests at heart. It needs to demonstrate that it's serious about deciding what the best long-term investment is in the general welfare of its people. I want to be clear. % sales tax. I don't think it's well balanced or well designed. I think it increases the gap between the wealthy and those at the margins because it taxes everybody who buys anything. But
Your 5 minutes is up.
Okay.
If you want to wrap up your thoughts.
yes, I will. Since this discussion is going to happen, I'm stating my intention to fight for clarity about what's actually needed to solve the housing shortage. I know that it will take at least 10 million a year. I want the city to be responsible to put money into that affordable housing fund that they created that now has $0 in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else present who wants to speak on an off-agenda public item?
Vouchers, and it's not so much that units are not available. Many times it's that the landlords will not accept the vouchers. So that's another part.
Councilmember Ballard, I will turn it over to you for new business.
Our first new business item is zoning 2025-0060. Thank you for being here.
Yes, of course. My name is Brad Ederly with MAPD. We are discussing case zone 2025-00060. For this case, the applicant is requesting a zone change from B multifamily residential to GC general commercial to LI limited industrial. It is a 0.15 acre property that's located at 220 North Walnut Street. The majority of the property is zoned in just a very small portion. It's zoned GC. The applicant who owns the property to the south has indicated the property will be used for additional warehouse space for the property to the south. All be considered one zoning lot, and should the zone change request be approved, there would be several changes to the development standards which are listed in the table in the staff report. If the application is approved, the subject site would have to adhere to screening, landscaping, and lighting standards where abutting the B zoning. At a minimum, this would require a 6-foot solid screening fence and would require a landscape buffer along the property lines. That would consist of 1 shade tree or 2 ornamental trees per 40 linear feet. Other landscape standards, including landscape street yards, with parking lot screening along North Walnut are limited to 50 feet in height. Down and away from the property line that abuts the residential zoning. A little bit of context to the property, if we can scroll down to the zoning map, which should be the next one down. Yep, thank you. Property to the north is zone GC. To the east are zone GC. The southern property is owned by the applicant and has developed a parking lot that serves the warehouse office combo to the south. The northern property is developed with warehouse office combo. Property to the south is owned by the applicant and is zoned LI and is developed with that warehouse office combo. And then properties to the west across North Walnut Street are zoned B and are developed with single family dwellings. Just for more context, there are several LI zone properties in the vicinity. Case history in 1872, the subject site was platted as part of the West Wichita addition. A concurrent vacation application to vacate a portion of the utility easement. Application to reduce the front setback from 20 feet to 3 feet are also have also been heard at the Planning Commission. The agent that is here for that. Going on, but I believe that those have been approved and are going forward. Public services, the site has access to North Walnut Street, which is a local street, with sidewalks on both sides. The utilities already serve the site, and Wichita Transit serves the site at West Douglas Avenue and North Seneca Street, approximately southwest, and then also North Walnut Avenue and West Douglas, approximately 800 feet south. As far as plans and policies go, if we can scroll down to the future growth. It is in conformance with community investments plan. As appropriate for residential and employment mix, which is defined as areas of land that likely will be developed with uses predominantly of a mixed nature. And changing the zoning to LI is an appropriate action, especially when considering the site's proximity to other LI properties. And as far as the land use compatibility guidelines, under the heading land use compatibility, guideline 1A states that higher intensity development should be discouraged from locating in areas of existing lower intensity development. And this subject site is across the street from single family dwelling units. For multifamily, which allows the highest density residential development, and also multiple properties in the vicinity are zoned either GC or LI. So changing this zoning of the small property is consistent with the surrounding zoning. The requested zone change is in conformance with the goals of the Wichita Places for People Plan. Strategy 6 states to encourage infill and redevelopment that is contextual to the environment in which it is occurred. As far as the Delano neighborhood plan, it is in partial conformance with this. The future land use mixed use, and while mixed use does not include industrial warehousing, expanding a warehouse in this area is contextual to the. So we can scroll down to site pits, and I'll kind of step out of the way. So this is looking east into the property, a big fence there, so you can't really see much, but then looking south away from the property, looking west to the single family dwellings, and then looking north away. And I believe that's all for that. So staff does recommend that the request be approved. We have not heard any comments from any of the neighbors or the public. I'll tell you that this was already heard at MAPC and was approved as well. that I have any, I can stand for any comments, and also the agent is in attendance.
Staff or the applicant? The public have any questions, comments?
Councilmember Ballard, we do have Vince on our Teams meeting. He is the president for the Delano Neighborhood Association. And he is saying that they approve of this case. So there is support.
Right now, it's not being used for anything. It's hard to tell. There's no buildings on it.
Yeah, it looks, and the agent may be able to answer this better than I can. It's hard because of the fence. I'm tall, but I didn't go peeking over any fences while I was out there, but it does look like it's vacant at this point. So this would just be an expansion of the property to the south.
So they'll just be using it for parking lot.
I don't know. The agent would actually, I think they're, the way I understood is that they were actually going to include some more warehousing, but the agent might be able to answer that better than I can. Yes.
We'll let you. Thank you.
This is Will Clevenger with Garber here tonight on behalf of the applicant. Mayor, to answer your question, yes, it is going to be for a building expansion. They're going to extend that existing building directly north of that into that vacant property. And they're also going to close off that drive access in the process. So that'll be one less drive opening onto Walnut Street.
Bring it back to the DAB in.
Staff recommendation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. -0061.
Yes, once again, Brad Etherly, MAPD. This time we're 00061. For this case, the applicant is requesting a zone change from LC, limited commercial, and GO, general office. The property is about 13.14 acres. The portion proposed to be zoned LC is approximately 5.94 acres in size. And the portion proposed to be zoned GO is the subject site is generally located at the north or the southeast corner of West 51st Street North and North Meridian. The site is currently in agricultural use. Otherwise, it's vacant. The applicant is looking to change the zoning district. The area proposed to be zoned LC is the westernmost portion. Yep, right there you can see, and is located at that corner. The property proposed goes a little bit further east and south of West 51st Street North. It also abuts the SF5 district to the east right here. SF5 allows for single-family housing and a limited number of civic and public uses, while LC allows for single-family, two-family, multifamily housing, in addition to civic, public, and commercial uses. The GO district allows for a more limited number of commercial uses than the LC district. And the table that is in the staff report shows the development standards for all the different districts. As far as compatibility standards, the UZC would require compatibility setbacks for side and rear lot lines of properties zoned MF18 within 500 feet of properties zoned TF3 or more restrictive. So for this case, the subject site abuts properties that are zoned SF5 to the east and the south. So the setback is 15 feet, and then they get a little extra as they go further away. This standard would apply to the east and south property lines where abutting or across the street from SF5 zoning. The UZC also requires a 35 foot compatibility height standard for all structures within 50 feet of the lot line of a property zone TF3 or more restrictive. So for this case, it would apply based on the proximity of lots zoned SF5 to the north, east, and south. And then also the UZC requires noise compatibility standards. So this really would kind of be about if there were any drive-through speakers or anything like that in the area. Would have to follow those noise compatibility. Lastly, the UZC does require dumpsters and trash bins and things like that to be 20 feet from any property zone TF3. So for, in this case, a dumpster cannot be within 20 feet of the east or south property lines that abut the SF5 district. As far as screening and landscaping, the UZC requires solid screening, which would mean a 6 foot fence. This would apply to the north property lines for both parcels and the east and south property lines for the proposed. Supposed to be zoned GO. Does have existing dense vegetation that staff has deemed acceptable for meeting the screening. However, any portion of that property appropriately screened would be required to conform to the code. And then it would also need to conform to the Wichita Landscape Code for landscape buffer and parking lot screening as well. Just like we talked about with the other case, as far as lighting goes, it would be required to hanged or shielded away from neighboring residential lots. And then all lighting fixtures cannot exceed 15 feet in height when they're located within 200 feet. Parking for any use developed in the future would be per the UZC. And if we can scroll down, you're already there. The character of the neighborhood is generally residential in nature with a little bit of commercial. Nearby properties to the north are zoned SF5 and are developed with single family dwellings. Properties to the east are zoned SF5 and are developed with single family. Properties to the south are zoned SF5 and LC with a protective overlay. The LC property is developed with an entertainment establishment, and the SF5 property is owned by the applicant, but is part of a drainage ditch. Property to the west across North Meridian Avenue is zoned LC, and is within CUP DP 311, and right now is in agricultural use. As far as case history, the subject site is unplatted. If the site is residential or commercial uses, platting with subdivision application was submitted, but was never perfected. As far as public services, the site has access to North Meridian Avenue and West 51st Street North. It does have access to the utilities, and Wichita Transit does not serve the site currently. It is in partial conformance with community. The site is new residential, which is defined as areas of land that will likely be developed with uses predominantly found in the residential category. However, pockets of major institutional and commercial uses could likely. So rezoning the subject site to LC and GO could be an appropriate request, considering the proximity to other commercially zoned properties. However, without knowing specific uses, staff has determined that allowing the proposed extent of LC and GO in such close proximity to single family districts could be detrimental to those districts. Additional guidelines under the heading land use compatibility suggest higher intensity development should be discouraged from locating in areas of existing lower intensity development, particularly established low density residential areas. And then also under the heading states that low density residential uses should be buffered from commercial and industrial by open space, water bodies, changes in topography, or other major barriers such as arterial streets or highways. So again, without staff knowing the possible use on the property, staff did determine the possibility of higher intensity development could be detrimental to single family uses. So Planning staff does recommend that the request for LC and GO be denied. However, staff is recommending approval with some modifications. And this is based on some follow work. We would zoning for the 400 feet west of this rectangular lot. And I did the math today. It's about 880 feet wide, so it's just a little bit less than half. And then approve B multifamily for the remaining balance of both this and this property, with adding a protective overlay, which would restrict some uses. Also, including some information about lighting, rooftop, trash receptacles, things of that nature. I will say that this report was written before we had some deeper discussions with the applicants. And so the GO property is proposed to actually be a church. Full disclosure, it's my church. I don't stand to gain financially in any way based off of this, but found that out later. And so my pastor is in the audience. It's a little weird, but worship can go in I think, and the agent is also here for them. They were kind of trying to get ahead of the curve a little bit so that if they wanted to add some uses that aren't allowed in the SF5, it could be ready. We feel like if that ever comes to pass near or far, they could either request the zone change or the use that was kind of thrown out was a daycare, and that can be done through that portion of the property. Now the part that is requested to go to LC is a little bit more of a different situation. We've had conversations with the applicant and the agent, and I think that they are still requesting to keep it LC for their reasons that they can get into. But we do have report. So we can go through some site pictures, if you don't mind, Anna. So this will look very similar. It's very agricultural, but looking east into the site and looking south across 51st, and then looking south kind of on the east side. This is looking west into the site from the east side, and this is looking east. This is the SF5 neighborhood to the east, and then looking north away at the SF5 district to the north across 51st. And with that, I can stand for any questions. And I can say we did have one member of the public. I expected a lot more, to be honest. And they didn't really have any opposition to the questions. They might oppose it ultimately, but for me, they were just asking questions at this point.
Any questions from the DAB for the applicant?
Make sure I got this straight. I was tracking with you.
That's all right.
If I understood what you were sharing with us correctly, that portion of the parcel, that parcel that's on the east side of all this.
Inverted L.
Right. See that
So
stay or go to.
So we are proposing B multifamily.
Okay.
It's more than SF5 at this point. Again, when we wrote this report, we did not know what the use was. The truth is, unless the agent or that this has something else to say about it, it could stay SF5 and it's worship now. But if they wanted to add uses in the future, then they could probably some sort of protective overlay on it, keep it from being. all the uses that are, yeah, allowed in other districts. So, but we are recommending B for basically just a little bit more than half of this, and then this as well, with the protective overlay that's in your staff report. And then LC for just a little bit under half of this portion of the property.
Is there a reason that you're not suggesting that the LC boundary line coincide with the property directly to the south?
That's a good question. This was decided on by my superiors, and I was not part of that discussion, so I can't tell you. I think that they case where we kind of buffered another zone change request with another situation where we had an arterial street, and they kind of used that as a buffer, basically, to go to the lesser intense district. I couldn't tell you exactly why it didn't match, except for, you know, this one isn't directly across the street from actual single family.
Two-parter. If the property to the east were left with its current zoning, if I understood it correctly, and additional usage such as a daycare center or preschool or whatever, all they'd have to do is ask for an exception. Is that correct?
Not necessarily. It depends. Yes, if it is a daycare, we have now kind of like our short-term rental administrative permit, where it doesn't have to go through the full-blown public hearing process or threshold for neighbors that write in and say, hey, we don't want this. So we have that same process for daycare centers now, basically. So if they wanted it to just be a daycare center, simple process, takes about 3 to 4 weeks total, no public hearings, unless it reaches a certain threshold. So that's a possibility. If they wanted to do anything else that would be a little bit more intense, they could come back and ask for another zone change at that time with more specific uses that they have in mind. Overlay, you know, to keep some things from that.
So, it gets approved to go to multifamily, and the deal falls through for some reason. Is the most intense usage of that property then allowed to be, say, an apartment complex?
Sure. So if it is approved with B multifamily with the protective overlay, it would be, well, the protective overlay is just for the LC area. So everything else that's zone B, if that goes through, would be allowed, everything in that B district, which would include one dwelling unit per 580 square feet. So typical kind of apartment, which is also allowed in all the other districts that are being asked for.
We'll have to hear from the applicant on the proposal for the LC portion, for the 840 square feet.
Good evening, Bill Meyer with Bachman Company, agent for the applicant. Welcome. It's Brad Bachman and Joseph Bach. Presentation, we're going to be a tag team. You get stuck with me first. Also here is Pastor Todd Carter with Pathways Church. He'll answer any specific on this project. We're gonna ask you tonight to approve this zone change request as we submitted it. We felt like that was the best way to proceed with this. For the LC and the GO. For this for 2 weeks, sat down with planning. Planning did a great job of trying to convince us to change the GO to B. Decided to let the district advisory board and planning commission make these decisions as we go forward. We couldn't get to an agreement where we felt. And with that, I'll try to explain some of the reasons. So the Boston family has been this corridor, starting with the moorings. In the early 80s, so for the last 35 years or so, he's been involved. Overall, with commercial stuff that's going on, we don't. The good zoning districts, there's certain locations it belongs at. We don't want it in this particular location. We feel the GO is better. For decades, I have used general office zoning as a buffer. Commercial and residential, we've used GO a lot. It is to date. So with that, if you read the definition of B, it is very high density multifamily residential. It does not want to develop on this ground, just high density multifamily. And my point in bringing this out with the apartments in this corridor, in this area, they've been dealing with it. A lot of pride in what they've developed. So they're going to be particular section of ground. We believe the church is going to go on this ground. Don't have to have zoning for a church. I fully agree with what Brad says. If they want to do a daycare facility, you would have to do that zoning. He's correct. We could go through that zoning and that process. But why? We're here now. It's zoned for the church, and they can do the hearing in front of this dam. That's a hearing. Step right now, we're trying to do it. If you're comfortable, there can be a closing between them. You can discuss that with them. If something happens and they don't close on that. We did start a fight on this property. I didn't realize it was 2010, but I did do that for Brad, and he just never felt like this was the location we wanted to do residential development. Scale stuff at this location. If I could, I'm going to have you go back to page 8. And so this is there. And you'll notice on that community unit plan picture, south of 53rd, the hatched part is non-residential stuff. It could be commercial. And you'll notice it dips a little bit south of 53rd Street. But now if I can have you go back up one to page 7. You notice when you look at this plan, the existing commercial property goes way south of just dipping past 50th Street. It goes south of what our application area is, all commercial. Is a guideline. And it's not up to date at the moment. And we've already got way more commercials than what that plan recommended. There's nothing wrong with continuing that process. I would point out to the DAB members that 53rd and Meridian has grown and developed. You look at this intersection and how it's going to grow and develop, how it has for the last 15 years, how it's going to for the next 15. Street is one of the few streets in this county that goes from county line east to the west county line, links Mays, Bel Air, links with Valley Center. This thing's going to continue to grow and have a part of the reason Pathways Church wants to be up here. With that, I'm gonna stop and let Brad come up and do any specific questions you have. What do we want to ask?
Brad Bachman, 4829 Port West. Live in the moorings right across the street from this parcel that we're discussing today. This land, about 25 years ago, I purchased this area through here and we added it to the north end of Harbor Isle. We dug channels and some of the dirt's still over there across the ditch. And about that same time, the city was making improvements to area north and south of 53rd. At that time, I donated an easement here that the city used to create this drainage ditch that goes to Little Arkansas River. So that kind of cut us off from this parcel. And I've been waiting to develop it until we get good use. And last year, representatives of Pathways Church met with me and they said the church was interested in land, which I think is an ideal use of that property. The church is a great neighbor. Sunday and Wednesdays, there's traffic, most of the time quiet use. They keep up the properties. So I've been working with Pastor Todd here, Todd Carter, and I think we have a game plan. We have a couple things we're going to work out. Part of it is we generally keep control of everything we own through architectural controls. And there's some discussion about what we will throttle back a little bit on their portion as we have given them some restrictions that we won't use our portion of it, the remaining portion, with pawn shops, bars, a number of uses that some are identified in the. So we're kind of enthused about this, and we think the game plan is to develop a corridor of light commercial, or here. The only thing we have in the immediate area is fast food, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Brahms, fortunately, so High Point. See, develop along this corridor is restaurant. We have no services. We're a desert for services. We don't have veterinaries. We don't have we could get emergency medical care. We have some people kind of nosing around. We might establish that. Coffee shops, we don't have anything like that. We think this corridor between the church and Meridian is an ideal place for it. Have fencing, solid fencing or wall along the portion that's 51st Street. We're thinking we'll just do some. See, it's very attractive, berms and trees. Is enthused about residential use. The configuration this property makes it difficult. We either have to come in with cul-de-sacs off 51st Street or run a loop through there and come back up. That will create huge specials and commercial will able to take right off the utilities along 51st Street there. So it makes much more sense. We think this will be a good addition to the neighborhood. We kind of have, like, say, an area of very poor services that aren't within 3 or 4 miles. Everything that I wanted to point out on this, and I agree, we kind of take pride in the neighborhood. We've got the land, most of the land to the north there. We don't have that little curved piece there. Of course, we've got everything south, exception that goes to the, it'll be a good addition. We hope to keep it in high quality standards. We think it'll serve the neighborhood well. And I don't think, our opinion of what we're gonna do is that, and won't really detract from what we're doing. Ours won't detract from the area to the north there, all the home sites. So.
So limited commercial, that would go there. Would you see it potentially to the south or storefronts to the north?
I think part of the disagreement I have with city staff's proposal is, I think they're thinking we're gonna face box everything to the east of it. All the way to the, backing up away from 51st Street. So what I would anticipate is right through there, that portion of it. And it creates sort of a corridor down back to the church. We've kind of been working with the church and like I say, we've agreed to give up some uses that, and we're gonna correspondingly do that with them too, as far as if they decide to do something different. The church, when people quit attending the church, frequently it goes to offices. I don't anticipate that they won't be there for decades. There's always a just in case. So.
Whoa, snuck around on me. The discussion or the comments being made brought up a question for me. Staff, where to go forward? Multifamily would be in place. To put a church in there, would they have to have a loop? Or would single multi-drive access work for the parking?
You mean on
that back
property or?
On that portion.
On this portion?
Yeah.
Where the church is proposed to go?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really involved in circulation and things like that. I think that if the church goes there, just a single access off of 51st would be sufficient. You really don't have any other kind of way to get in or out. But if it weren't the church and it was multifamily, I would imagine that they would have to have some sort of
Yes. That would be. Fire department will require 2 ways.
Yeah.
And that also was part of the game plan with limited commercial, is that we would maybe we'd be able to join the lots, so there's cross circulation there. We might borrow each other's parking lots.
You couldn't do that with the proposal that they're making?
No, with our proposal of Geo, we can do that, not with the
Proposal the city's making.
correct.
Also for city, is the recommendation for 400 being LC, is that on the assumption that they're saying that businesses face Meridian, or is that also operating, they'll have north facing?
I'm sorry, can you start over?
your recommendation was to cut the rectangular piece.
Sure.
400 feet. Was that recommendation made on the assumption that the LC would face west towards Meridian? Or would it be what they say it faces 50 further?
Yeah, you know, again, good question. I unfortunately don't have an answer for you on that. I think that my superiors were thinking that it would face Meridian.
Yeah.
In that case, because if you're kind of cutting it in half, it would almost make a little bit more sense for it to face Meridian.
Right.
You know, back all the way through is one zoning. See their argument of having it face storefronts north, so.
And then, so I understand the applicant's position. The argument for GEO is that the church is likely to go there, but down the line, and say 60 years from now, the church moves or something, you want it to be GEO so that it can just be converted from office to offices without coming back through the
Easier to
process.
repurpose.
Okay.
Could help Dab with something. I know, I don't want to drag this out. Some dimensions that I think will help you. And I may be off 10 foot here or there. 400 foot's about right here.
Right.
This existing LC is about 615, 620. This line here is about 830. 40, something like that feet. I think Brad and I have always felt like, doing something that faces 51st back here is a little bit of a challenge, but doing 2 or 3 buildings here that are centered up with parking all the way around it, and the storefronts actually face Meridian, but they're stacked up with circulation around it, is how that thing's going to happen. That's how it would develop. Could be restaurants back there, could be a veterinary clinic, could be a dentist office, could be other. Brad would love to put a couple restaurants in there and have one large parking lot that shares.
Not this Brad, although I would love that, to be honest.
Oh,
laying out
we
there
don't
and
have-
what you want, like you did this, then we wanted, and
Yeah.
none of which are assault on a residential area, and the kinds of things that people like to access. But you and the city are at odds, and that's
We've agreed not to.
not
We've
that
agreed to
common.
disagree on the best step forward, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all.
Yeah, well,
it's all
yeah,
good.
I know it's not
Some of
personal.
the concern on staff is that LC allows for a whole gamut, and so like, you could put does it fit? Probably not, but you could put a grocery store on there, I mean, there's a lot more intense uses in the LC. And I think that that's where my superiors were coming from, that kind of. What they're talking about, if that were to come to fruition. But it kind of stays that, and again, those things are there for 60, 70 years, but maybe not, and then they sell the property, and who knows, so
And somebody else comes along with something else.
you never know.
Let's see.
So then, City Brad, is that a good way to do it?
City Brad. I like this.
The section that they're proposing, GEO, is that SF5?
Right now, it's all SF5.
It's all SF5, but okay, so that's a, on this, got it.
Questions from the DAB. Last call for the audience. Questions? Yes, please.
I'm really curious about that property that's just south of. Is it, how long has it
Sure.
been there, and who does it belong to?
You're talking about right here.
Yeah.
So it is a property that is zoned LC, limited commercial. I believe it was in the last year and a half that we actually had a case on that, so that they can have what's called an entertainment establishment in the
I thought
city.
so.
And basically what they use it for is for children's birthday parties, I think.
But they were worried about loud noise.
They were.
And is across the street where the new Saturday
Temple.
Saints.
Right here.
Oh, okay. I was at a meeting that was discussed about the noise
Yes,
level
ma'am.
then. before the Latter-day Saints went in. So how old is that facility?
The one to the south.
Yeah.
It's been there for a while. I don't know how long it's actually physically been there, but in the last.
But unfortunately, Brad and his company doesn't own. Simplify it.
It used to be owned by an individual who restored cars in it.
Looks like an old barn.
Yeah, it's a nice building.
No, it's a nice building.
Okay.
They used to have very expensive classic cars in it.
Oh,
That's just to the south of that in a new home. And I'd like to hear from the pastor what he plans for that property.
Oh, if you want to come up. Did you hear the question? What we're gonna use for?
What are you gonna use that property for?
Sure.
What are you gonna do with it?
We have, I'm pastor of Pathway Church. We have actually a campus at 21st and Mays Road. We have a campus at Goddard at 183rd and Kellogg. And probably we're gonna take a lot of the footprint that we have at our Goddard campus, we're gonna shrink it down. And that'll be, we'll put a campus there on that property there. Start out around somewhere between 10,000.
Mostly the building or whatever will be closer to 51st. Is that what you're thinking? Parking lot behind it?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
So until we kind of get, until we get kind of everything firmed up. Yeah.
other properties have things other than just the major building for your sanctuary and classrooms? Have you ever built on a school at any of them, or?
At our campus at 21st and Mays Road, we have a preschool where we've had one for probably 30 years.
Was it add on to the
No, it was just that we
building?
just used a space that we use for children's ministry on the Sunday. We use that during the week.
Any more questions? Back to the, yeah.
Did you have a question, Bill? I did. Well, I just want to make a statement to city, Brad. Try to correct it, but for future designations, I guess, if nothing else, it really concerns me that, I guess I'm going to call it your superiors, appear to arbitrarily have drawn a lot line on that change. It would have seemed far more fair if you were going to suggest, if we were going to suggest a change like that, that it matched the lot line to the lot property to the south. So I'd like that registered with them, please. It just seems like we've got this that, in my mind, limits the practical application of that lot if it's reduced to that size. And maybe you covered it to that point, why 400? You know, he doesn't know. Is that just a, hey, it's a round number, it looks good, this is 650?
Sure.
I don't think that just.
Like I said, the best answer I can give you is that there was another case that was properties that they were going to go to LI, limited industrial, which is a lot more intensive than what it was owned, I believe, SF5, and they. I believe that same 400-foot buffer, but I believe that it was maybe LC. Is that right,
Yeah,
Phil?
I think
So-
I can answer that.
Little bit of
because
a,
I'm-
little bit of a different, similar.
They feel that 400 foot is like a lot. So we're gonna put one limited commercial development on it. We're gonna
Okay.
That's how they, that's how they got 400 foot.
Okay.
It's a lot.
All right.
And that's why they said, we think 400 foot's better.
I understand it.
We don't need it.
Thank you, City
So just for my own, so I can just clarify, this is just procedural logistic. Right now, it's all SF1.
SF5.
Or SF5, sorry. The first thing that we wanted is that diagram there. Just those,
Yes.
that
but
boundaries.
If we scroll up to the, what we call a picture sheet, it'll show you exactly, no, keep going up all the way to the very front, yep. So we kind of labeled it, keep scrolling down just a little bit. So we labeled it so you can see which one
This
is
is what
LC and GF.
the applicant is
Right.
advocating for.
Correct.
City is advocating for the B version.
Yeah.
In the now a square-ish plus some. Now a lot at 400.
That's the meridian.
Significant difference in terms of what is proposed. The difference comes much later potentially, or sooner, depending on whether, okay. If, but then, okay, so those, that's like the three kind of paths, or at least the two paths, and then if we we can to go with the adjusted zoning,
Right.
both in category and in perimeter. We can. Council then.
So this would go to council. All zone changes have to go to the.
But
the way it goes.
But the way it
depends on
goes.
how it is voted on.
So, yeah, so this has not gone to planning commission yet, I believe. On
It's on
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, so once it goes to on how each body votes.
But we're not the, I'm just trying to figure out what we're the catalyst for here. We're just, so we're sending this on to planning commission then, and whatever.
Well,
is.
technically, you're advising the council.
So we're advising that if we differ from planning committee, it gets pulled off the consent agenda and becomes a discussion item.
Yeah. So if both of you
Yeah.
decide the same thing, say it's what the applicant wants. Or the applicant's recommendation. Goes to the city council as consent, unless protests are, are received.
Right.
And then they have to hear it. But essentially, yes, if both parties vote the same way, whatever that is, then it's just.
I'm gonna propose something awful, which is we do what neither want. So the motion that I would make, if I'm bringing to you all for discussion, would be to approve LC zoning at a depth of approximately 843 feet from North Meridian right of way. Leave remaining balance of property at SF5 and add protective overlay number 469 to the property zoning. Because I can appreciate you wanting to have it as available for general office at some point in the future. However, I hope your church continues to do well, and if this is something that's 100 years down the line, if it gets to that point, then let's come back and talk about what kind of general office we want to do. And in the meantime, you can have the limited commercial property on the longer stretch with parts facing 51st, and then do the administrative adjustment for the daycare, whichever path we go forward there. Is it a pain? Yes, but it's a relatively small pain versus approving general office, something with a 60-foot maximum height in case things go south.
Still possible, sorry, and
Yeah,
but
no.
the church, everything is still fine with the SF.
Yeah, because you can do that in the SF5.
So are you proposing, if you don't mind me asking, are you
Yes.
proposing that basically approve LC where the applicant has proposed LC,
Yep.
and then the rest where the GO is SF5?
And they can build.
And then the PO would be on the LC property?
Correct.
Yeah.
Question. If I were buying that, trying to put a church on it, I wouldn't want that building in front. Set different than the property in the south. Question.
So the reason that LC is set where it is at the 840 mark or whatever is that is under contract.
Okay.
The remainder of the piece that Bachman is keeping, we applied for the LC zoning.
So they like the geo cut as it is.
For me,
They like the
cut.
invite,
Yeah.
into the L.
They're under contract to buy everything that's shown in Geo
Okay.
there, as in that shape and that configuration.
Okay.
Good. And this is not legally binding.
Right, yeah, we're good.
Okay.
All right. So just, point of discussion though, is looking at what's zoned there now. The other church in this neighborhood is zoned geo.
When the other church comes to us.
It's already there. It's being built right now. It's that big green block.
And there's, because I am not updated on the architecture guidelines of churches of Latter-day Saints, but they are quite tall.
Oh, it's quite tall.
The 60 feet is.
It's a nice big,
It's a feat.
churches. Latter-day Saints Temple.
I like your suggestion.
How much do you like it?
Discussion on that motion before I make it formally.
So adjust your motion. You don't need the numbers in there. Basically, you're saying LC here, SF5 there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the protective overlay.
And the protective overlay on the LC number 69. But I can. Nine, staff recommendations and to approve LC zoning at depth of approximately 840 feet from North Meridian right of way, leave remaining bounds of property at SF5 and add protective overlay number 469 to the property zone.
I second that.
Wow.
There's a lot. So, yeah.
Does anyone have any updates that they would like to share?
Yeah, I have one, Maggie.
Yes.
So, North Riverside neighborhood. Month. In March, in our meetings are always, we have a presentation. We either have an author or a politician or some kind of representative come and make a presentation. In March, our presentation is going to be from the neighboring association. And going forward, other months will be a more of a neighborhood. Neighborhood associations would meet on the third Monday of the month. You don't have to live in the neighborhood to come.
It's at 7.
It's
7.
it's at 7, yes.
Right?
Yes, we're not United Nations. Thank you.
Small things for me. Citizens Review Board, still meeting last Thursday of each month. We're changing it up this year in that we will be rotating the location of our meetings. So we will alternate between City Hall starting on the odd months, and we will be in each district on even months. So starting in District 3 in February, we will be here in October, and I will lift it then. I will also lift that community engagement is a focus of the Citizens Review Board. And so if there are any neighborhood associations, civic organizations, advocacy organizations that are interested in police oversight or policing and the relationship between community and WPD, here in District 6, I will probably come and speak to you, but there are 13 of us and we will come and talk about the Citizens Review Board and how we can work with both.
have a District 6 coffee on the 24th of this month. At 9 o'clock. It's just kind of a big open meeting conversation. We always have a good turnout and it's something fun.
Not those reminders, we do have LEAP for any neighborhood associations who want to share that information. I'll post it on social media. LEAP is the assistance for neighbors who meet the qualifications for assistance with their energy or their gas bill. So that will open on the 20th of this month. Also, AARP, we are a host site for tax preparation at no cost. We are about to open those appointments as well as early as next week. So if we have anybody who needs assistance in preparing their taxes at no cost, so they can get them done for free here at the Evergreen Community Center and Library.
Sales pitch. So I heard these ladies talk about affordable housing. I volunteer with Habitat for Humanity at least once a week. And I would encourage all of you to go look at what we're doing this year. Go to Piatt Street between 25th and 26th and see what we're doing to take houses that were all boarded up and turning them into affordable housing. And the first, so as of Christmas, we have 6 new homeowners in there. And we plan to have 6 more, I think, on Piatt between 25th and 26th. We've also purchased, I think it's 11 more homes on Ash and maybe Minnesota, I'm not sure. But I just encourage you to go see what's happening up there. It's changing the neighborhood. And the kind of exciting thing is when we're working up there and we sit down and have lunch, and I think the first week we were there, we had a lady drive up who teaches at, I forgot the name of the school there, but who teaches, and she came up and she says, y'all are taking my old house and you're fixing it up. Can I go inside and just see what it looks like? So, you know, build 50 or 100 new homes, Hillside and Grove and 13th and 9th. And so if you drive up and down those streets, you'll see also how we have significantly changed those neighborhoods. So go look at it and come volunteer. Fun. So anyway, I just make that sales pitch to you because that is one thing that is helping affordable housing.
Yeah.
I just worked today we were laying out walls because next Monday is Martin Luther King Day and we'll be building 2 homes inside Century 2. And y'all are welcome to come volunteer there to do that. But so I was working with the new homeowner of one of those homes. From not Uganda, but Rwanda. He is from Rwanda. So anyway, check it out. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Let me add one thing too. You can also shop at the Restore, which Charlie Eby helped found. And every to help build a house. So go do that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll do the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.